Good day, viewers, wherever you're watching Ogtv across the globe. It's your program, Peace and Conflict Resolution. I welcome you to another episode of Peace and Conflict Resolution. I am Abeokuta Ogunleye. Today we shall be looking at impact of communications on conflict resolution. Impact of communication on conflict resolution. And today I have in the house Dr. Samuel Oyebanji Akitunde, who will do justice to the topic that we have brought to you today. Dr. Samuel Akitunde, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. Yes. We'll go on a very short break now. Then when we come back, we'll dig deeper into the matter. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to the show. In case you're just joining us, it's your program Peace and Conflict Resolution. I have Dr. Samuel Oyebanji Akitunde in the house, who will be doing justice on the topic, the impact of communication on conflict resolution. Doctor, the impact of communication and conflict resolution. These are two weighty things. Conflict resolution, communication. The two has anything to do together?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Conflict resolution is a process by which you resolve issues, disputes, and restore harmony. Communication is a process, or is a tool by which you undertake this process. Number one, you see, when we say conflict resolution, it means there's a conflict. And all conflicts arose majorly because of problem of communication. In fact, American Management Association has established the fact that majority of the conflicts that you see in the workplace arose from breakdown of communication. The third element is the fact that when communication breaks down and there is need for resolving it, it is communication that you use.
Even when the communication has broken
down, we now have conflict. Without communication, you can't resolve it. The result of that process is dependent on the quality of communication. Some other research has also proved that at least 80% of communication conflicts that you see could have been resolved if the communication is okay. In fact, specifically, there is a research that said that about 40% of communication of conflicts can be prevented if the parties engage in active listening, which is an aspect of communication. So communication is so fundamental to resolving conflicts.
Communication is so fundamental in resolving conflicts. And let me say this. Communication as a tool and having conflict resolution aside, we have seen where two parties or a group of people have said that I will never have anything to do with this party. Yes. And how I want to make use of communication to resolve this dispute that is aggravating the scenario becoming conflict. How do you resolve this? When one party has vowed that yes, this I'm not, I will never, this and that, you know.
You see, it is still the issue of communication. In labor relations, for example, At times you see people who are protesting, we no go gree, and somebody will just come up, maybe the personnel manager, and speak to them in their language, and they will just say, let us give this person audience. Whereas somebody else will come, request the same thing, and the case will be aggravated. So we need skill in communication, where the communication process is undertaken in a way that is skillful. We don't have problem. Most of the conflict will be resolved very, very amicably. But we have problem. Many people don't even know what is communication. You see, communication is not speaking. Communication is an exchange of ideas between two or more parties, either to give information or to influence behavior. That you speak does not mean you have communicated. And when you want to communicate, there are so many issues that are about it. Even before you speak, you must have communicated in many ways. Your image is part of the current communication. Your appearance, the choice of words, the type of motive you appeal to, and how you diagnose to look at what is happening. So all these have important role in the effectiveness of communication and how effectively the conflict itself will be resolved. So most of the time, the problem is communication at all levels, whether at individual, between husband and wife, between contracting parties, at work, or normal business relationship. It's about communication. If you are a good communicator, you achieve a lot. Maybe we make more money in today's world than communicators. You resolve a lot of problems easily. You appeal to the right motive and people listen to you.
But in that manner that you have just mentioned now, don't you think personality is involved?
It's fundamental, it's the first thing. Before they even listen to you, they look at who, are you biased? Do you have credibility in being truthful, or are you a manipulator? Or are you there to represent a party? So that's why a mediator cannot just be anybody, because the party must have confidence in you to assist them. So like I said, it's fundamental. Who are you? Who do people think you are? You might even convey wrong perspectives about yourself without knowing. So it is not just what you think, it is what they think about who you are that matters. So communication is so fundamental in resolving any conflict.
Okay. Yes, let's see it this way. When we say communication on a lighter mode, will you agree with me that the present tariff hike in the communication, the data and the rest,
data usage,
yes, the data usage, don't you think it will affect communication? Let's put conflict resolution aside and let's look into this communication, because a wife and the husband, everybody will have to adjust, and I don't know how that is. Is it going to affect communication?
You see, every government has department or ministry of communication, because they realize the importance of communication. And communication is not just what you say, even what you do. If there is a policy that is announced by government and people don't see the need for it, or people see it as oppressive, they don't see how it benefits them, government is already communicating. That's why, especially this issue of tariff increase, is a thing that needed to be handled with caution, because the economy is not smiling now, and government is striving to make things right and introduce so many palliative measures in order to cope with. So if at such time we now have increases in this or that, the first impression of people might be negative. And that is why how it is presented matters. How it is justified matters. You see, because communication exists or takes place when the other party understood what is being communicated.
Yes, the message.
When the message got across. But the message that the receiver got is not just based on what the sender says. He will interpret it, give his own interpretation, and he will react based on his own perspectives of what that message means to him. That's why the issue you have just stated now is very critical. But good communication will have clarified issues, reduce misunderstanding, and prevent possible conflicts over things like this.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Akitunde. We'll go on a very short break, then when we come back, we'll continue on the matter. Please stay tuned, viewers, wherever you are. We'll be right back after this short break. Yes, welcome back to the show. It's still the matter. Peace and conflict resolution is the program going on, in case you are just joining us. I still have my guest in the house, Dr. Samuel Oyebanji Akitunde, and we are discussing the impact of communication on conflict resolution. Dr. Akitunde, like you rightly said before we went on that short break on the tariff hike, we have seen the effect of communication between the union telling all their people to make sure this does not fly. And this brought us to conflict resolution or dispute resolution. In a case like this, the two parties needed to calm down so that we can have a peaceful nation and peaceful negotiation. How do we go about this?
You see, there is a communication issue here. Like I said, even before you speak, you started communicating. That's why attempt to communicate must start with analysis, must start with some actions that will prepare the minds of the person who wants to receive the message in communication. From that perspective, there ought to have been discussions among stakeholders, people that the policy will affect. When that happens, reactions to it will not be negative or will be more manageable. So I just want to say that, number one. Now it has happened. What should be done? Well, is to reach out with an image of people who are interested in the same welfare of the people. In negotiation, what they call principal negotiation, you shift attention from position to interest. There's a reason to interest. Yes, there's a reason why the Labour say they will kick against it. It is not that they are against the move. The move. Government itself has a reason why they did that. What's the difference between that reason and the interest of labor among other stakeholders? It has to be linked. So, reaching out, number one, okay, let us discuss. We are willing to discuss. Second, in discussing it, you stress the element of the interest. You must be united behind an interest. That is what you are trying to pursue, that I'm trying to pursue.
We have to be united.
Then you now look at different options for satisfying the interest. When you talk about position, there's only one thing. Increase the tariff, or you don't increase it. And that is oppositional. But when you are talking about the interest, there are so many options. It could be decrease or withdrawal of the increase. That to satisfy the interest of labor. But that is not the only option. Another option could be increase in wages. Another one could be cost of living, decrease. There are so many. By the time you bring up these many options, negotiation will not be easy. Another thing is, in the process of negotiation, you don't focus the individuals, you focus the issue. Because you see, in many cases, labor leaders are stereotyped. They are given names as bad people, they are industrial, anarchists. See, yeah, instead of looking at what is the issue, what are the merits of the issues, and discussion based on merit and demerit in a logical sequence of discussion. So as soon as you label a party, you cannot have peaceful resolution of dispute. So if you use this principle, it's most likely that the dispute will be amicably resolved eventually. But the first problem is policy that do not involve stakeholders. Some people will just even negate it, work against it just because they are not involved. It's an emotional matter. It's emotional. And it could be more than that. It could just be because of misunderstanding. That if they have been properly briefed, they will just say, okay. See. So I think with that, it will be easy to resolve a conflict like this.
Of that such. Okay. Okay.
And again, you see, there are principles of negotiation, of communication. It's when those principles, guidelines are violated that become problematic. For example, arising from labeling, certain type of speech are promoted which are negative. You begin to use negative words, abusive words, words that negatively stereotype the others. With that, you are blocking a communication, because it leads to a situation where the other party will no longer reason with you, see you as an enemy. But when you speak words that are positive, that give the other person benefit of the doubt, then you prepare the heart to listen and to receive. The second thing is what we call active listening.
Active listening.
Most times when we are listening, we are really not listening. We are just trying to get information to defend our earlier position. It becomes an oppositional struggle to defend and advance a position. See, active listening. Then credibility in terms of saying the truth. Many people, in an attempt to advance their position, they become dishonest, making statements that are not true. And when that happens, there is suspicion. Communication is blocked. See, then, when you are saying even that truth, you must say it in a loving manner. You can say truth that demolish the ego of the other party, and that person become defensive. If all these principles are adopted, it's most likely that communication will be smooth and achieve its purpose of informing as well as influencing the other parties. So,
well, I must thank you for doing justice on the topic that we've been discussing all this while. Dr. Akitule, I want to believe with the power in communication and communication itself as a tool to make sure that there is peace. How do you see this? If communication is being used to resolve issues, and when communication is broken down, you earlier said the other time that it is the same communication that will revive it.
yeah.
And this has to be human being. And before the communication actually broken down, something must have gone wrong.
Gone, yeah.
Faces were involved. Personalities were involved. How do you go about this?
Assuming that communication has broken down,
Yes.
like I said, you require an effective communication to restore it.
Okay.
There are so many ways by which you restore a broken communication.
Okay.
By telling somebody that person is no longer listening because communication has been broken,
Okay.
the first thing is silence.
Silence.
Silence. You see, unless you allow that person to exhaust himself, he cannot receive whatever you want to say. Like if
You cannot receive.
he cannot receive silence. That's number one. Number two is validation. As you listen, you get the point that the other person is wanting to say. It is then you get information. You see, from this information, you know the case, the point of view of the other party. You don't go straight and say, you are wrong. Absolutely. A good communication should find something right, something good.
Choice of word.
In what the other person says, validating. Because nobody will believe that it's totally useless. And indeed, nobody is totally useless. Even when a madman is talking, there will be some senses there for a wise man to take cue from. So validate. Find something to validate in that person. And the third thing is to find a point of unity. And you must never let a person feel defeated.
Okay.
Otherwise, he will not agree with you. Even if he agrees with you, he will want to protect his own image and emotion.
Thank you, Doctor. You have done so well on the discussion. We hope when next we call on you, you will be here. Thank you. This is where we shall be drawing the curtain on the show on peace and conflict resolution today. Till I see you next week, same time on the same station. I am Abeokuta Ogunleye.